Hey guys, LechK here, new project. We're gonna build a greenhouse in this space right here. I wanna keep my veggies and stuff protected during early spring and winter time, all that. Just wanna keep everything protected from the animals, from the weather, and so on. We got some wood already, pressure treated and regular 2x4s. We're gonna use those polycarbonate panels, which I'll show you guys a little later on. But for now, I'm gonna prep this area. I'm gonna use some gravel and stones to basically set a level base that I can put my pressure treated beams on bottom. I'm gonna go 4x4, so I'm gonna use two 2x4s together to set a base, and then we'll do a framing on top of that. It's gonna be about 10 foot wide, about 4 foot deep, lean-to style. I don't want to go over the fence, so I'll keep it below 6 feet by the fence and maybe 7 feet by me over here. And yeah, that's about it. I wanted to go 4x8, but that's going to be too small. But depending on what size you go, remember, the bigger you go, the more materials you're going to use, higher the cost. So I'll try to give you guys a breakdown of everything. But for now, I'll start setting up the stones so we can put on our base. So this is basically the idea. I'm gonna go a couple inches, fill it with gravel, preferably a little smaller than this. And then this will give you a solid foundation. And the cool thing is we can always add another stone if we need to raise the height, add some gravel, and easily move the whole build as it's not that big. Over here, same idea. A couple inches deep works. You can always add once we start leveling. Also gonna run one in the middle, as this is 10 foot long, so it's good to have a support in the middle as well here. And then we'll be able to start putting the base down. So once we have our foundation stones in place, now we can level everything. You want to be as level as possible, even for a greenhouse build. So you can get one of your 2x4s, run it across your stones, put a level on top of a level that way, or if you have a level long enough, you can do it this way. Get all the angles. Once I get that leveled out, I can start assembling. And I said 2x4, but it's really going to be a 4x4 because we're going to put two pressure treated ones together for the base. Okay, so since I'm doing the greenhouse 4 feet wide, I cut my side beams at 45 inches as they're going to sit inside the outside beams, and these are 1.5 inches. So the whole thing will give me 48, give me 4 foot wide greenhouse. So I'll have 2 on each end to double these up, and then I got to strengthen the inside as well. Okay, so this is the idea. We get a nice 4x4 structure now for the base. And basically it's 10 foot by 4 foot, like I mentioned. We have the outside beams that are already 10 foot. I don't have the inside beams 10 footers, so I just took the 8 footers and cut them down to 48.5 to accommodate for the 1.5 inches on these. So making them shy of 10 foot. And then since the inner beam here is shorter than the other one as well, those are 42, as this is 3 inches. So that gives me the total of 4 foot as well. Now I'm going to scroll this down, square it, and then we can start building the actual structure itself. So to give you guys an idea, 2 over here to connect to this one, 2 over here to connect this one to this one, and then through here to this one, and then just running down the beams to keep the two pieces solid. I'm gonna repeat every corner like that, run it down, put probably 2 and 2 over here on this connection, and this will be one solid base. All right, we got a base all set up now. Now we just gotta make sure it's square. So the way you do this, you go to one corner, diagonal to the other one, measure the distance, and we're at 129 and a quarter, and we should have the same thing on this side now. So now from this corner, diagonal to this one, and we are at 129. So within a quarter, that's pretty good, but if needed, you can move it around to square it, it'll be all set. So with the base all set, we can move up to framing the walls now. And you can literally run your beam straight up right from these boards, but I'm first gonna still do a 2x4 base, build my walls, traditional style, 16 on center, all that, like you will be building a house or a shed or whatever. So I'm still keeping it traditional, classic, and keeping it heavy duty, so this thing lasts and holds up a long time. Might give the pineapple leaf burnt look and maybe even stain it. It will be covered with the outside panel, so technically it won't get wet, but there will be moisture. So since I'm not doing everything pressure treated for cost savings purposes, you know, I want to protect the wood a little bit. So I'll cut them to size, create my base, and then I'll show you guys how to frame out the walls. So we got the base and the top of each wall cut out now. Now we're gonna measure out the spacing for our studs, our wall studs, and then we'll be able to assemble it. So basically, bottom, top, we're gonna mark both, and then we'll know where our studs go. I'll be doing 16 on center. I'm just not gonna put all the studs in now because still gotta figure out how I'm gonna do my panels. All around, side walls, back walls, all that. Let me show you guys how to measure. Alrighty, so I got my bottom and top wall lined up next to each other because I'm gonna measure them both at once. And 16 on center, traditional way of building. Reason I'm doing it, because once you start lining up your panels, especially if they're 4 foot or 8 foot or so on, it gives you the even spacing of the stud, so everything lines up in the middle of the stud and allows room for the next one for good install. So I'll show you guys a close-up and exactly how to measure it, and we'll go from there. So your tape measure is marking 16 inches here and 32 and so on. This is perfectly set up for your spacing for 16 on center. The thing is, we're not marking it where it's 16, we're marking it 15 and 3/4. 3/4 of an inch away from the center of the stud, and I'll show you guys why in a second. So basically, I'm gonna line up to the end of my wall, make the mark here, 15 and 1/4, put an X where my stud goes, then I'll move on to next, 31 and 1/4, X, and keep going down the road as long as your beam is 47 and 1/4, X, 63 and 1/4, 79 and 1/4, and that's it. So once we have that, marked off, now all I'm doing is I'm going to get my bottom and top wall, move a square, so I know exactly where my studs go, put big X's here, my stud will sit here. I'll keep doing the same down the board, and basically what that means, hold up, I'll show you guys an angle. here. If I had two 10-foot beams, that would make it a lot easier, but I don't. So now stud sits here and the stud sits here. So if I put these exactly in these places on the line, when I go on the center of each stud, I'm going to be from one center to the stud to the other center of the stud 16 inches. That's not going to happen with the first ending here from the wall. There is a reason for that. I'm not going to go into more details. I have a full video how to explain this. I'll put a link below. But basically, let me finish measuring this out and I'll show you guys how it all looks. So here's the outline for the front wall. Studs at the end. First one, second one, and so on to the end here, which won't always line up, which is normal. You still continue measuring to the end. So now I will show you guys how to assemble your wall. First, I just gotta measure out the height I want it to be in the back here in the front. I'm gonna keep it under the fence. So the good thing is I know exactly how high I'm gonna go with my beams. Now I measure from the top of this, it's probably right below the fence, and that will be my high point on that end for those studs. And then since we're doing lean-to, the front, I'll probably go a foot or so higher. So for the back wall, I'm doing 62 inches, as I'm probably almost a foot off the ground already. And that will also give me space for the rafters for the roof, so I don't go over the fence height. Don't want to get anybody angry. But yeah, that will work. Alright, I'm gonna space out my bottom and top now. Make sure that you have them lined up the same way you measured them. And we're just gonna put our beams that we cut. You don't have to do all of them, but at least the main ones, so you have one structure once you assemble this. So these are the panels I'm using, 4 by 2 foot. They're clear, they just have the protective plastic on them right now. And I'll put a link to them below. I'll pick them up on Amazon. Basically, these are 4 foot wide, so I'm skipping 2 studs in here. Maybe I'll add them, maybe I won't. I might skip them for now, but I need my end piece and 4 foot section piece at least. And then the same thing would go here to the 8 foot mark where the split is. We will finish with shorter pieces here. The other way to go will be 2 foot going downwards. But then we wouldn't be doing the 16 on center, we would do the studs 24 on center. Same idea, which would make more sense if you go in 2 foot. But since we're going 4 foot wide, our measurements make sense. Alright guys, I'm gonna confuse you a little more. So 16 on center makes sense, but I don't want to use that many studs. This is just a greenhouse. It's already going to be heavy duty enough for the 2x4s. I don't want to waste all the extra studs if I'm going to use 4 foot sections. I still have my spacing. I can add them if I want later. But for now, like I mentioned, I also added the 24 on center markings, which gives me 23 1/4 right here. The 48 mark, like we already had from the 16s. Then the next one is 72, so 71 1/4 for the 24. The next 24 lines up to the 95 1/4 like we do with the 16s. And then the end piece. So that's the only studs I'm going to do for now. And if needed for extra strength, we'll add the other ones I measured. But that will be enough to assemble the wall. Here, since I don't have a 10 foot beam, and I don't think I'm going to run an extra 2x4 on top along the whole beam like you normally do with construction, I might just reinforce it right now with a shorter piece and cut this shorter so I can connect the beam. And that will work just fine for worst case. I can always add the top piece later, but I'm going to try to avoid that. All right, now let me show you how you actually assemble your wall. So we got our measured beam, our top beam, bottom beam, whatever you want to call it. We're going to take our studs, line them up to the markings we want it at. So remember, we're going on top of the X across the line. And we are using a nail gun, not a screw gun. There's plenty of reasons for that. I'm going to explain it. I'm sure the chat below will give you guys all the reasons for it. Line everything up. Usually for the corners we're gonna do 2 studs, but we can add that later. Now we just go for next one. I have a stud under, so I have a flush connection. So there's my solution for now. Remember to cut this beam 1.5 inches shorter to accommodate for the stud. And now, same idea. First side done. Now we attach this side and you got your first wall. That's basically how you put together the wall. Bring it over. 1 done. 3 more to go. All right, little test fit. Looks like our height is good for the fence. Now we're gonna start with the side walls, and the side walls are gonna be the same height as this wall, as this was the lower wall, so you need them to match. And then last, we'll do the taller wall, which will be on the inside here. There we go. One more. Here are the 3 beams. I might do a door on that end. I'm not sure yet, so I'm just gonna probably go with the 2 for now over there. I can add the middle one later, or we might do a door here. I'm not sure yet though. Okay, it's looking like a structure now. 1 more wall to go, and then we can start connecting them all, bolt them, nail them down, all that. Like I said, opening might be here for the door, or maybe here in the middle. Still figuring that out. So for the front wall, I'm only gonna go 10 inches higher, which should be plenty for lean-to design here, which I'm making these beams 72 inches, plus the 3 inches for the top and bottom beam. And then the back, again, was 62, plus the 3 inches for the bottom and top beams. And there we go, all 4 walls complete. That's probably gonna be it for today. It's getting dark. Like I said, I might burn them a little bit and stain them for more protection and just aesthetics. But height difference is good. Gotta make the rafters next, once we assemble the walls, that is. Still gonna need a couple 2x4s to double the edges up so I can connect everything nice and solid. So gotta pick up more of that. But yeah, let's keep going. Back soon. And I'm going with the burnt look, just for extra protection and nice look. And the burnt look is gonna look pretty cool. Maybe a quick coat of clear coat as well to protect it. And then we can start assembly. Like I mentioned before, I added the extra beams on the sides so we can connect it to our smaller walls. And I'm gonna do that on both front and back walls. Okay, before I put up the back wall and start my wall assembly, I have to get to the back of this wall to put up the panels later. And I'm gonna be close to the fence, so make my life easier, I'm going to put the panels on the back wall right now. So quick peek on how we're gonna do this right now. These are the panels, I'll put a link to them below. And these are the 1/4" ones, so it's the thicker version. There is a thinner version that people complain about, so I want a little thicker. And we're using these type of screws. Pick these at Home Depot, but you can get stuff on Amazon as well. 1/4" head, and it has the rubber seal, so you don't damage the plastic. And 1 inch is plenty too for installation. So we'll get this on now. So if you guys remember when I was talking about measuring our spacing for the studs, either 16" center or 24" center to accommodate the 4-foot boards, this is the reason why. When you start here, I should be starting right at the end, and I should be right in the middle of this beam, and then the next one right in the middle of this beam. The problem is this is not lining up perfectly because these panels are actually not 48 inches, not 4 foot. They're 47 and about a half, and then 23 and about a half. So that messes it up a little bit, but basically all you got to do is maybe add an extra beam here, and that will fix it. Or in my case, I just moved this beam over, a few taps with the hammer on each end, moved it over about 1 inch, and I'm gonna line up fine. Since this is a shorter piece here, I'm gonna have to cut the panels anyway. It's not a big deal. I'm gonna get my panels ready. Just line it up and screw it down. I'm gonna make sure I start with the edges here. I'll line up on all ends and then I'll work my way down. I'm not going all the way to the edge here because I still got to do my rafters. I'm not sure how I'm going to do them, so I'm going to leave myself the space to work with here. So I'm going to go about halfway through the beam. Don't need a lot of pressure. This will start cracking on you probably. There you go. something like this. Keep going, show you guys what it looks like when done. Also, since I am doing the back panels now, so I'm mounting everything to the walls already, make sure that your back wall is square, kind of like I did the ground base. So I'm at 136.5 for this size wall that I was building, and I got the same thing on both angles. So now I can finish mounting these boards. So before I screw down where there is seams here, where the boards connecting here and here, I am gonna run some repair tape. There's cheap ones in Amazon, but I picked this up in Home Depot, used it before. It's pretty thick and heavy duty. So we're gonna run a line wherever they connect, and then if needed, I'll hit with some screws as well. And it's pretty clear, and it's gonna make sure no moisture or bugs get into the cracks now. And now I can run a couple of screws here to hold this section down. But besides that, panel install is pretty simple. I'll get this one done and we can put the walls up. All right, our back wall paneling complete. Let's put up the walls. I'm gonna shove a few nails in the bottom board just to hold this in place, and then I'll be able to connect the side walls. First I want to line it up. I'm making it flush on the inside. All right, now we can connect our sidewall, line them up, level to help here. Basically, we want to make sure we're leveled over here, and at the same time, the walls nicely lined up. And this is the reason why you have the two beams here that I was talking about before. Now same idea over here, guys. Make sure it's all level and just nail it together. And we got our walls assembled. Probably gonna put some screws as well into the bottom, just for a nice secure hold to the pressure treated wood. But next, we're gonna make rafters. And then all little touch-ups. Alrighty, a few rain days later, and we are back to it. The walls are all set now. I did, after the nails, throw a few screws as well into the base, just to make sure it's all nice and supported to our pressure treated floor base. And now we gotta do the rafters. So the rafters, you can technically line this up, drop this as much as you want to go, measure it, and cut out, right? There's another way you can do it as well, which I can show you guys, or I'll put a link to the video that goes over all that. But since this is a greenhouse, I'm gonna probably doing this a little bit different. But anyway, gotta decide if I want to stick out, have a little roof thing like I do on this sauna build here, or I just want to make it all flush and then do some kind of edge finishing here, and same with here. So I'll play around, come up with a plan, and show you guys how to do it. All right, so one method you can do this, basically take the beam, screw it down. Before you screw it down, make sure you put the level against here and push the wall left or right, and then screw it down, because that's going to affect where you're going to be cutting your rafter boards. And now what I'm going to do is here, you can leave an overlap, or we can just mark it off exactly where we want to cut it off. And then same up here. Choose the height you want, all that dependent, 2x6, 2x3, or 2x4. Then we'll cut it out, see how that looks, and then we'll be able to use that one to cut out the rest. But that's one way you can do it. Another way you can make your rafter cuts quick and simple way is with a square. So you just take your rafter board, put it where you want to be. You're spacing this out 24 on center, 16 on center, same way you did the bottom. And then we're just gonna take our square, lean it against here, make a line, then lean it against here, make a line. You get this cut out, and then we're gonna do the same back here. And then make your cutouts, and then you'll be able to cut it. I have a more detailed video on this, so I'll put a link below, but I just wanted to show you guys just a couple of ways you can do this. And now we just cut out our markings, clean them up a little bit with a score so they're nice and straight, and we'll do a test fit. For the bottom one, I'm not cutting all the way through for the wall one yet, because I want to use this piece to measure the inside pieces that's going to be. But the outside ones that hit on that beam for the doors, you know, we'll need this cut all the way. Well, let's test fit this one for now. Alrighty, so they should snap right in, just like this over here. Pull this back a little bit. There we go. So that's what we want. And like I was saying, for this beam, we're just gonna cut out that little piece here. But for our inside beams, we are good. That's what we wanted. All right, let's measure out the rest, cut them, burn them, stain them, put them on. To prep the next board, it's pretty simple. Just line it up, and you're just gonna trace it, and we're gonna cut it the same way, and we'll have all our boards ready. Okay, so decided I'm going with the door on the side. I'm gonna keep it to the left side here. Of this side, I'm gonna prep my door frame beams. Just gonna give them the burnt look and stain, and then I'll be able to finish that as well, and then put up the rafters. So here's what we're looking at. Now I just gotta line them up to match the panels again. So yeah, we can measure the 24" center like we did on the bottom, and the top we can build in the walls. But the thing is, we gotta make sure we line up so the panels can mount when they connect. But the idea is the same. Nail them down and keep going. Make sure everything's nice and flush on both ends, especially in the middle, so your walls aren't coming apart, so everything's pulled together. So before I do my rafter at the 4-foot mark, I did line up my panel, as these are a little shorter than 4 feet. I'm doing it flush with the wall here. So as you see, it's not going to be 24" center beam like this one. Moving a little bit just to make my life easier. So that's how I'll line them up. And same with the rest. And there we go, rafters are ready. And the nails and some screws as they will reach nicely here. So that's not going anywhere. Now technically we can start doing the panels on the roof. First I want to finish the door entrance. So I just have all the 2x4s done, at least for the most part. And then we'll figure out how we close everything up. And there we go. 21" opening for the door. Should be plenty for a little greenhouse. Alrighty. So for the panels up top, we're not gonna go widthwise like we did in the back here. We're gonna go the long way because the panel, 4-foot panel, almost reaches all the way from the top to the end. Maybe missing a couple of inches here, which we'll just do a shorter piece and overlap it. So it overlaps that. We might do little edges too, ledges. But as you see, 2-foot sections, so they line up perfectly on these beams. So we'll run it all across like that. It's gonna be just like this here. And for this, I'm not gonna do those bolts. I'm gonna do roofing nails. For the reason is, I'll do roofing nails on each side, run a strip of tape, and then also I wanna put like pressure treated wood or something, strips of wood, or some kind of maybe aluminum strips or something to seal this up perfectly. Because even with tape, I feel like being on the roof, it's gonna deteriorate. And that on each stud here will hold it nice and tight in place. Plus it will look pretty good too. So we'll get started on that now. Speaking of screws, when I come back to doing the sides. I am going to go back to these bolts again. The ones I picked up in Home Depot, I believe was 100 pack for about 16 bucks. I needed them right away that day, so I just went to the store and picked them up. But now I went on Amazon and picked up for almost the same price a 300-piece set. What's cool is these are all black. Also has the rubber gasket, bright finish, so it's going to look nice for these outside walls here. And it came with a socket as well. It's a complete set, and I believe this is about 21 bucks. I'll put a link. Okay, so one thing doing these panels, you do want to seal off the edges, otherwise moisture will get in there. So I didn't do it with the back wall, and I got a lot of moisture in there already when it was raining, as it got in from the sides over there. So with this roof in the front, before I even finish the installation, I'm gonna seal off these with the greenhouse tape right now. That way I don't have to worry about that as I keep working. And that's basically the idea. Not going too heavy with the nails, as I'm still gonna tape over them and then put a beam across when both sides are installed here. So see, only going halfway on the beam. Left this loose for now, as I'm probably gonna put a piece under it. Gotta figure that out still. And then I'm gonna wrap around here to cover all that. And there we go. Now we just gotta do the back. But that's basically it. We're gonna run a strip of tape down here and then a finishing strip of wood or something to close it off nicely. That's the idea. Some kind of overlap here, walk walls downwards and all that. Let's keep going. To get to the back is pretty easy. As you guys remember, I did this just on some paving stones. So I can slide this over and I can get back here. And I can push it back as needed. Very easy to move around. And for the back here, extra piece, I had some long pieces left over from doing these walls. So all I'm gonna do is go long ways with these, bend them like this, and screw them down. And that's gonna be all solid. And that's basically how it's coming out. Nice overlap, everything's sealed up. Just finish this and the back is done. Then like I said, later we're gonna run the beams here. Alrighty, we got our new panels ready, meaning I sealed up the edges with tape so no moisture or bugs get in there, and we can start working on this wall. We did have a little bit of rain and drizzle today, so I'll show you what the panels look like with the rain right now. And all the tape up top, everything's holding up well, so it's doing the job. Got a little bunny right here. It's a good day. Let's get this done. So one thing I noticed with these panels already, I ordered 2 sets on Amazon. Came in 2 different shipments. One came pink, one came blue. It's the same panel, but lengthwise they were off by about 1/4 inch. So just be mindful when installing. You're probably not going to start all the way at the edge here, because you want to make sure you are in the middle of the next stud so everything lines up and you can connect the next panel. You don't want it to be too short. But I just got the first one up. I just did a few screws for now. These are the new ones. I like how they look. Over here we do have a little gap, but we're going to put some kind of angle trim piece or something. I'll make it out of wood to seal this up. Maybe run a strip of tape first. It's not a necessity since it's a greenhouse, but I just don't want a bunch of crap getting in everywhere. And plus I wanted to make it look nice as well. So we'll get this wall done and keep going. All right, some quick progress for you guys. Just gotta finish the bottom panel. So I'm gonna cut a little longer than this, but I don't have to go all the way to the bottom. Probably do some wooden finish, pressure treated wood or something later there. So it's visually pleasing. I didn't screw these down yet because I don't know if I'm gonna nail them and put a strip over them or just tape it and screw it. I'm still deciding on that. But overall, it's looking solid. Just gotta finish the top piece. And yeah, it's gonna look good. More rain, so I'm not gonna be finishing all this right now because I want it all to dry, especially these cracks before I seal this. So we'll get back to this, but I'll show you guys what I got for the trims and all that. Now I'm gonna work on the door, which is this opening. It's about 62 by 21 and a half, so I'm gonna keep a 1/4 inch under that. And we'll just make a simple square door. Let me show you what we're working with. Oh yeah, and then this is basically a drip edge. I wanted black, they didn't have it, so I got the aluminum finish. And basically that's gonna sit up there. There's also bigger ones, but there was no need. And then we have some pressure treated wood for the bottoms. And then we'll finish all the seams with this. Just gotta stain it first. And then here's the door. Very simple idea. Long piece on the bottom, one inside here, hold it together. Probably something in the middle here we'll put. And then same up top. And then we'll also have to run some cross pieces so the door doesn't sag. But I'll get this assembled, burnt, stained, and then we can install. So as you guys can see, I'm going to try to do the door all solid. Glue, screws. I'm pre-drilling the hole so nothing cracks, as I'm only doing a 2x3 for the door, trying to keep it lighter. Well, let me finish this up, show you how it looks. So before I can start doing the trim on top, I gotta have my top sides as well. So I just screwed this piece on here. And then I'm just gonna run my utility blade and cut the excess off. And that's gonna give me perfect trim for the top piece. Same on the back. And here's the look on the back. Here I went halfway, as I'm gonna be running panels down the bottom. Over there I got a door, so I just did flush. That's the only difference. Now we're gonna hit the edging here. Okay, now the trim. So we got the drip edge here, and then this sits on top. I'm gonna line it up here like this. Measure where you need to make the cut, and then we'll wrap it around that way. But that's basically it. I'm gonna put a bead of silicone on each side here when we put this down. So it glues on, no need to put tape here because we're gonna seal it. And then a few roofing nails, and that will be it. So we are only making one cut on top. We're not touching where the drip edge because this will overlap. So we're gonna go just like this. And now, take this. We're gonna go like this, and there we go. Let's mount it. So I'm gonna run a thin bead on both sides, like this, and then we'll nail it down. And there you go. We put a little bit of silicone on top of every nail to cover all that up. And then we ran the other piece from that side. We overlapped a few inches over this other one. Silicone that, nailed it all down, and we are good. Top is done. Okay, back to the sides. So I nailed down the ones that I left loose. Run a strip of tape here. Run a strip of tape here where they connect. Same over here. And now I'm gonna run wooden strips, top to bottom, the ones I stained and burnt, to close that gap up. I'm not gonna run any long ones here. That should be fine. But this has to be closed up. And then we'll probably do the same up top. And strips installed. Pre-drilled the hole so I don't crack the wood. All stained. And now it holds it all down nice and strong. Alrighty, now you can do the door and this final wall. So the door fits fine. We have a little gaps, that's good. Right here, that's fine. It's a greenhouse. I found a piece of plexiglass I had. This is like a 1/8. I'm gonna clean this up and I'll make this top window here clear, and then all those panels will finish the rest of this door. Get the hinges on. This is the hinges I'm going with. 3 of them. It's a light door, so that'll be fine. And then like a standard latch lock. Alright, we've got the hinges on the door. Make sure you have good space in here. So I did it like this so it's 90 degrees. And then this will sit on the outside wall. So I had this piece left over. And the plexiglass was long enough to reach it. So this is what I'm doing, just like this. I just cut a couple 2x3s that I'm gonna put here and all that, just to even it out. And it doesn't look so awkward here, and it should be all right. And here's the door. Let's put it on. I'm going to put on the latch right now, hinge, whatever, as well. Got these plastic washers I'm going to put under it so I don't crack my plexiglass when I tighten it. Alrighty, let's get this door on. I'm going to put some shims here, just some cardboard, to give me a little elevation off the bottom so it doesn't sag and drag on the bottom. And then we'll just pop it on. Still got clearance up here. Now I just gotta bolt it down. And hopefully it swings open, right? Let's give it a go. It's 1H for now. Sure it works. Okay, that will do. And we got a door, guys. Latch is simple. That's the job. It looks cool. Don't even need a handle. This will do, but maybe I'll jump in the forge and make a cool handle out of a railroad spike or something. Why not, right? All right, now we just got to finish this paneling here, and maybe finish some edge in here as well. Do the roof panels I was talking about, and then it's really gonna be just like whatever you want to add in here and start planting. Here we go. This wall is done now. And hasn't even been that long, but it's already pretty hot in here. I am gonna do ventilation. Maybe cut out a window here or something. Maybe another one on this side. Put some netting or something. But do an official window, so I might save that for later on. Save some funds for now. But yeah, it's looking pretty cool in here. So quick little tip, guys, if you're using this latch. As you see, once you lock this, this is not opening from the inside. So attach the little rope here. And basically, I'm gonna lock myself in. Hold this, and we'll pop it open for you. Very simple. I came up with an idea for the corners. So I did put a piece of tape here just to have the two pieces connected. And I basically took the two beams I'm going to be using for the strips for the sides and the roof, connected them like this, and then we will just screw it or nail it right on. Go. Just a little silicone up there where it connects to the drip guard. That will do. So guys, at this point the greenhouse is pretty much done, but we definitely need windows on the sides and probably on the roof. Summertime, everything will cook in there if you have no airflow and keep it cooler. It will be like a sauna here in the summer months, especially now in July, June. So this is my basic window design. Basically built a frame of 2x3s just to fit the space. Added a 2x4 up there for extra support. I got a simple hinge here from an old door. Had a bunch of these, so that's what I'm using, and then also the plastic is holding it. Got my little holder here, and that's really it. I'll show you guys the outside. So that's gonna be the windows. Probably do a couple here, one on this side, and then the ceilings. Maybe something else on the ceiling, still gotta figure it out. Here's the outside look. So I didn't cut the top here. It acts basically as a holder for the window itself. The hinge is just extra. Got everything bolted here. Then you just cut a slit. And what you can actually do is, see, it's flush right now when you close it, which is fine. But you can also get an extra piece of this, put it over it, and overlay to seal it better. Technically, it doesn't have to be waterproof. I'm using wood. That's the only reason I want it to be a little more waterproof, especially when I'm not using this. But for now, in the summer months, it's gonna stay open just like that. So we're gonna have airflow. Alrighty. Alrighty, windows all done. Did the same idea. The only thing on this one, I had to go 2x4s. I didn't have enough 2x3s to do all of them. Also did one in the roof for now. See if that will be enough. Kept it very simple. Just cut an opening. Also did the stainless steel rod here to pop it up. Nothing wild for now. You can always upgrade later, but this will do. Enough ventilation in here now, I believe. The only way we'll find out is if we start planting some stuff and test it, which is really about time. But yeah, this works. I did two on this one because it's wider on the hinges. Technically, you don't need them because these panels are holding it, but you know, you can't depend on that. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna go set this up, and then maybe we'll do some shelves, hangers or something. And then I still wanna finish something on the bottoms here. But that's really it. That's a greenhouse build. Alrighty, greenhouse is all done. All the windows are set. We got our plants inside. You can kind of see them. Obviously, you can just peek in. The roof, all good. We got an opening up top as well. Looks pretty good. You could even do mesh netting here if you don't want bugs going in, but I don't think that's something you can ever stop. And it's going a little overboard. And here's what it looks like inside. Did a couple shelves for now, nothing crazy. Just a simple angle on a 45-degree to get a little holder. And it's just pressure treated wood, 1x6 here. And two 1x6s over here for the shelf. Just run the 2x4s on the bottom. And you can lower them down or put another one, relocate it. And that way gives you multiple space. You can also do hanging up top, add more shelves if you need. But for now, that's all we're going with. It's our sunroof window. Simple design for now. It's summertime, we'll worry about when frost comes for planting next year and all that. But yeah, guys, hope you like it. Any questions, let me know. I'm sure I'll be doing some follow-ups on this. I'm gonna probably install a rain barrel so we can collect rain and all that. Save hose water. But yeah, this is the greenhouse. Hope you enjoyed the build. Check out my channel for more other builds and lots more to come. Thank you, guys. Hey guys, quick check-in on the greenhouse a few weeks later. As you see, it's still in one piece and it's looking green in there, so let's take a peek. So all this stuff is a lot better protected now. And I would say looking pretty good. Alright, that's it for the greenhouse. Thanks for watching. Check out the channel for more cool videos. Oh yeah, one thing we're gonna add on also is a rain barrel. So I'll do a setup on that soon. I just got it.